Have you ever been standing in the middle of your kitchen and one of your kids asks you something? Maybe it's something simple, something you would normally answer without thinking about it, and your brain just stops. You're not tired or distracted. It's just like your mind has gone blank, like you're trying to find something that is not there. And then comes the thought that makes everything worse, which is, what is wrong with me? Well, I want to tell you today that nothing is wrong with you, and we are going to talk about why. So let's get into it.
Welcome to Chronic Illness Moms. If you're more than just a tired mom, I'm talking trying to make it through the day without crashing by noon while raising neurodivergent kids, you're not alone. I'm Ashley, a wife, mom, and certified health coach. I have lived with autoimmune disease and flare-ups that made everyday life feel harder than it should. After years of pushing through and burning out, I learned how much stress, poor sleep, and nervous system overload were driving my symptoms. Everything changed when I started building small, realistic habits that actually supported my body instead of fighting it. In this podcast, you'll learn simple habits that help you to feel better. So pop in your earbuds and take a break from the chaos. It's you time.
I know you are tired of not feeling like yourself, tired of waking up and already feeling behind, tired of trying to figure out where to even start when you can barely get through the day. Tired of doing all the things you were supposed to do and still not getting better. Tired of carrying your kids' hard days on top of your own body just not cooperating. You are not lazy. You are not doing it wrong. You just need someone to sit with you, look at your specific situation, and help you find the one thing that is actually going to make the difference for your body right now. That is exactly what my Feel Better coaching call is. 1 hour, you leave with a real plan built for the life that you actually have. Go to ashleybraden.com/coaching to learn more. Okay, now I want to talk about what is happening in your brain whenever it just goes completely blank. You know, we've had times and really seasons of going through just really hard times with our kids. And I don't want to get into all the details, but if you've ever had one of those stretches where it's just like your whole nervous system is on all the time, no matter what, managing, bracing, trying to hold everything together, that has been us before. And I remember standing in my kitchen in the middle of one of those seasons when one of my kids walked up and they asked me something simple. I don't even remember what it was. It was something that I should have easily been able to answer. And it was not a hard question. It was the kind of thing that normally I would have just answered without thinking, but I just stood there staring at them, completely blank, not tired, just there was nothing there. It was like I was trying to think and nothing was there. And then I had this thought, which I mentioned earlier, what is wrong with me? And right behind that came the feeling of shame. Because I'm still young. My brain should be working. I should not be standing in my own kitchen unable to answer a simple question that my kid asks me. What I know now that I did not realize in that moment is what was happening had nothing to do with something being wrong with me. It was a really actually pretty predictable output of my nervous system that had been overloaded for way too long. My brain was not broken. It was just completely depleted. And there is a real important difference between those two things. And I want to walk you through what that looks like today. So a lot of times we can feel like if we're having brain fog, that must mean that something's wrong with our brain or our brain is broken. But it's not necessarily a sign of like something's going on cognitively. I mean, it could be, but obviously in these situations, it's not. So what is going on with your brain is your brain runs on energy, blood flow, how much sleep you're getting, and a nervous system that is not stuck in that chronic state of stress. And so when it's trying to operate and function like it normally would, whenever those resources are running really low, those all are going to be signs that it's depleted. Again, it's not a diagnosis that there's something damaged, something wrong. Obviously, if you have genuine concerns, always go talk to your doctor. But your brain is one of the most energy hungry organs in your body. So when you have a situation where you are managing chronic stress, chronic illness, really intense emotional days, and then that constant output of caring for kids who have high needs, your brain's resources are getting pulled in way too many different directions for way too long. And that's whenever it can get depleted. Again, when we're looking at those really like high level functions, like retrieving information or making decisions or responding very quickly, those can start to slow down as your brain starts to feel depleted. And I really want to say this specifically for moms in neurodivergent households. The emotional and really the load that our brain manages every day, helping our kids and caring for our kids, the sensory stuff, helping them to regulate, appointments, advocating, that is really that load is real, and it does cost your brain something every single day. And I think sometimes we can skip over that and forget that it is requiring energy and resources from our brain to manage our life every single day. So the next time one of those blank moments happens where you just feel like everything left your mind, instead of thinking, what is wrong with me? Maybe ask yourself instead, what does my brain need right now? It's obvious that it's struggling. So what does it need right now? And that shift in the question that you ask yourself can really change everything, because the first question is going to lead to shame, whereas the second question is going to lead to curiosity, to problem solving, and to also supporting your body, which are things that I find are the most helpful for me. Can I start with getting curious about what's going on? Then can I move into problem solving? And then finally, instead of feeling shame, I am trying to figure out things to support myself. Okay, so I also want to talk a little bit about decision fatigue, because this plays a huge role in this as well. So we know decision fatigue, it happens whenever you just have too many decisions to make in a row. And each time you make the next one, your ability to do so just gets worse. It's not like a mindset problem. It, again, is a problem with the resources that your brain has available. So every decision that you are making, whether it's large or small, it pulls from that same, really that pool that your brain has. And, when you have a household that has high demands, that fund or that pool that you have can get drained faster than you might realize. So what can make this so hard to see, though, is that the decisions that drain you the most are often not necessarily the really big ones. They are the ones that are constant, you're making over and over again. They can be really low level. So something like what's for dinner, or who needs what when, or what's next in the schedule, or how do I handle this thing that just happened? And in this grand scheme of things, those decisions feel really small because you do them every single day. But when they build up, that's when we notice they're adding up over time. And that is whenever brain fog can hit really hard. A lot of times, think about it. You wake up in the morning, you feel energized, you feel motivated, your mind feels clear. And when do you notice brain fog hit? A lot of times it can be in the afternoon or right before dinner. And it's all of those decisions that you've been making throughout the day that are stacking up on top of one another. So what can we do to try to lighten that load a little bit? One thing you could do is try counting the amount of decisions you make on just a typical day before noon. Not huge ones, all of them. Any small, big, little, huge, whatever, it doesn't matter. Any decision that you have to make, add them up. And then when you see the actual number, I think that seeing that number helps you to realize that the brain fog that you are experiencing is not some kind of personal failure or something being wrong with you. You can put a number to it and see, oh my goodness, no wonder my mind is exhausted by the time it's 4:00. So it doesn't mean you're bad at thinking or remembering it, or even that you're disorganized. Sometimes we can think, why can't I be more organized or remember things better, or whatever that is. A lot of times it can just be that you are making too many decisions in a day, and your body is already depleted, so it just doesn't have the resources to keep up. So again, the goal is not for you to think better or to be more organized. The goal is actually for you to think less. So how do we do that? What does that even look like? Think less. If you're like me as an overthinker, that sounds like a lovely idea, but how exactly do I make that happen? So really how you make this happen is by pre-deciding as many things as possible so that your brain does not have to make those small, low-level decisions on repeat all the time. And if we can remove one thing in your environment or your schedule or your routine that is constantly costing you that mental load or that mental output without really giving you much back, then that can be a huge win and a huge step in the right direction to giving your brain a little bit of a break. So every decision that you make in advance is a decision that your brain does not have to make during the day on the fly. A simple dinner plan, yes, it is about nutrition and trying to make sure you're getting what you need, but it also can remove that what's for dinner stress that hits right at the moment when a lot of times your brain feels the most depleted. So that is not a small thing. Just pre-deciding that can make a huge impact. Maybe it's deciding what to wear the night before. Maybe it's deciding what you're going to pack for kids' lunch or what your kids are going to wear if you're still picking out their clothes. That is something I actually used to do. I've talked about this before. When my kids were small and I was picking out all of their clothes, I, one time a week, would pick out all of their clothes, including pajamas, for the entire week because I only had to think about it once. And after that point, I could just go to the little canvas basket and grab that day of the week's clothes and everyone could get dressed. Those are the kind of things that I'm talking about. The things that honestly, it's not that huge of a deal for us to just decide it in advance. It's more about us just being intentional and saying, okay, what are some small decisions that I make every single day that I know I'm going to do it every single day? Maybe it's what you eat for breakfast. Maybe it is what you're going to wear. Whatever that is for you, look at that and see. So the first thing I would recommend you do is pick one decision that you make every single day that you could pre-decide tonight. Maybe it's dinner for tomorrow. Again, maybe it's what you're going to wear tomorrow. That it could be, what is the first thing you're going to do in the morning when you wake up? Whatever it is, it's going to remove some friction for you, especially if it's during a hard time or it's something that you feel like weighs on you heavily, or it's something that it shouldn't be a big deal for you to just decide this the night before. And then the second thing I want you to do is name one thing in your environment that is costing you attention without really giving you anything back. And again, you don't have to eliminate this today, but just name it, because we're talking always about, can we become aware of what the problem is first and foremost, and then we can eventually make step towards getting that back or removing that thing that's taking so much time and attention from you. Okay, so just a quick recap. We know brain fog is not a broken brain. Now, there are a lot of reasons for brain fog, and I won't get into all of those in this episode, but this is one specific reason that sometimes gets overlooked. But a lot of times that brain fog means that your brain is just depleted. Your brain is running on resources, and those resources have limits. So when you are managing chronic illness and a high demand household, the decisions that you make every single day, they stack up and they use up those resources that your brain has available. And so that means that a lot of times that resource pool can drain faster than what we would like. And that's why we experience those moments where our mind just goes completely blank. The goal here is not for you to think harder, think better, become more organized. Although I will say, being organized does help you to make less decisions. The goal is for you to try to think less by pre-deciding one thing tonight. And then also naming one thing that is just in your environment and taking up a lot of your time and attention. Maybe it's a dresser that is decluttered or that needs to be decluttered that drives you insane. Maybe it is that you have your kids throw their shoes down and you wish you just had a place to set them. Every time you walk by, you think, oh my goodness, I wish I could figure out a solution so that the shoes weren't all over the floor, but they are, and then you just move on. Whatever it is, it can be anything. This is very specific to you, but name that one thing that you notice in your environment that takes up a lot of your time and attention without actually giving you anything back. Okay, and then before you go to bed tonight, pre-decide one thing for tomorrow. One less decision that your brain is going to have to make in real time. And then I would love for you to come share with us in the free Facebook community what that is that you're pre-deciding to do tonight. I think a lot of moms honestly probably would come up with the same answer, and I would love to hear what your answer is. All right, friends, that is all for this episode. I will see you back on Monday. We're going to be talking about something that your body has been asking you for, but you've probably been feeling too guilty to do it. All right, that is all for this episode, and I will see you then.
Hey friend, I hope you found today's episode helpful. If you did, would you take a minute to share it with another mom who's struggling with chronic symptoms? And leave a review on Apple Podcasts. It means the world to me to know this podcast is making a difference for you. All right, it's time for me to go tackle those snack requests, and remember that a short walk, even if the kids turn it into a race, still counts as self-care. Keep chasing those little wins, even when it feels messy, you're making progress.
The information shared in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult your healthcare provider before making any changes to your health routine. I'm not a doctor, and this podcast is not intended to treat or diagnose any condition. You're the expert on your body. Listen to it and reach out to a trusted provider for support.